Going live and all right. According to YouTube, we are live. There's like a 20-second delay, and my page won't load it here. But I am here with Chris, who actually I found through a Matt versus Japan interview. You did that interview with Matt, a long time ago. Like,
it was. I think a little after the 1.5 year mark or so.
Going live.
Yeah, it was around there. I think it was. It's probably August, September. I think it was August though.
Yeah, it's been a minute, and I really liked your I really liked the video that you did with him. I thought you had a super awesome personality, and there was a lot of stuff that was said in that interview that I like that I'm going to get into. But first, I will, if you want to just do kind of a brief introduction or anything, and let people know anything about you, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, okay. Give me a sec. Because I had a friend who just wanted to pop in, so I was
go ahead.
Getting the link.
Go ahead, because
okay.
I'm going to share it too, since.
Yeah, and because I also wanted to see the chat and stuff. But yeah, okay. So yeah, obviously my name is Christian, but I just go by Chris, because. And yeah, so I've been learning Japanese for about like almost 2.5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
At least with all the time I spent with the immersion stuff. If we include stuff before that, it's a bit longer, but it really doesn't count. So yeah, in about a year and a half, I'd say I'd reached like the basic fluency level, as in like I had like pretty good grasp of how the grammar works and in general how the Japanese language kind of works. And so basically building up from there became a much easier process than just like being a straight beginner.
Right.
But yeah, so after that, I think my growth kind of stagnated for the past couple of months because it's like, college started and I didn't do as much Japanese. I mean, sometimes I would binge read though, time to time. I would binge read some light novels and stuff.
Yeah.
And
you're actually, just to put that, you're the first, which I had gotten into the MIA approach later on, but you were the first person that I had even heard use the term light novels. Like, you speaking about it in that interview, I was like, what is that? Like, you were actually the one that introduced me to the idea of light novels.
Yeah, because I've always been a weeb, so yeah, I ran into light novels in English I think when I was like 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'd read fan translated ones, like I just devour them. Like I get home from school, finish my homework, and just read that until like sleep. Oh, this people in the chat. And it's like I would like sometimes if they were completed series, I'd read them through until they were done, and if they were ongoing, whenever new stuff would come out, I'd read them. And but then eventually it's to the point where I'm just like, if I just knew Japanese, I wouldn't have to wait for all these fan translations. I'd just be able to read it.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know how to go about it. Like I was thinking, I'll probably learn it in college or something. And then eventually I thought in my junior year of high school, like, wait, but a lot of people who finish college and all that, they still kind of suck. Mm-hmm. At least like they can't do what I want to be able to do. Right. So why am I going to rely on college? And so that's basically how I ended up finding about Ajatt, and then Matt turned that into Master Immersion Pro, and
right.
Everyone knows the thing, yeah.
Okay, cool, yeah. So, and if I'm not mistaken, in that interview, just to touch on this a little bit beforehand, you're truly bilingual, right? Like you grew up speaking Spanish and English. Am I making that up? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you also, yeah, well, thanks everybody for joining here. Welcome. I'm glad Chris is an awesome dude. I'm glad that you guys are here for him, and I'm anxious to chat. So,
yeah, I got plenty of time.
So, all right. So you grew up bilingual. Do you think that speaking Spanish, growing up speaking English and Spanish, gave you an advantage just in terms of maybe how your brain could perceive languages since you were already bilingual? Do you think that gave you an advantage, or do you think that played a part at all?
So not a big advantage, but to the extent that, for example, like rolling my R's was a lot easier because I had to do that all the time in Spanish anyways, and just a lot of I guess the sound there are like sounds that kind of come off at similar, like sometimes I'll like confuse Japanese and Spanish in my head. Like I'll be speaking Spanish and something Japanese almost come out.
Right.
And The struggles of being multilingual.
Right.
And so that happens sometimes, but it doesn't really give me that much of an edge. It's just that I guess, I'm kind of familiar with the general sounds, but it's not enough to really make a difference, I don't think.
Mm.
But there's also the possibility just being bilingual just makes it easier to kind of acquire different languages because you already kind of have because you're already not hyper focused on just one.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if there's any science behind that, but
Gotcha. Yeah, I know that they always say that, like as an adult, if you learn a second language, the third is easier, the fourth is easier. But if you acquired both languages as a child acquires language, I'm not sure. I'd be interested to see tests on that, but I don't know how they would really do that. So when you got into Japanese, because I know that you said that you got into immersion, like the whole Ajatt thing, a little bit later. What was your first initial? Like, what was your kind of go-to? What were you just like, all right, I need to learn, so this is what I'm going to try to do?
I was like, well, I need to learn the basic writing system first off.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got the good old Genki textbook.
Right.
And that went really well. I opened it, I looked through it, and I started to fall asleep because that was boring as hell.
Right.
I'm telling you, that is the most boring. And also just the fact that it had like the Roman characters above all the kana, that drove me insane because like I'm trying to learn how to read Japanese, not English.
Right.
So that got me really annoyed. And so I kind of just dropped it for a couple months, jumped into a English Japanese language exchange Discord, wasted my time for like 5 months. And then I was like, after 5 months, I was just like, man, I really haven't gone anywhere. I need to do something. and then that's, eventually how I found out about Ajatt and stuff. Because it was like, one of the things that happened was like, I was buying Japanese games in English. And I'm like, but I'm trying to learn Japanese. This is so stupid. Why am I doing that?
Right.
So.
Did you ever try to use any of like the apps or gamification stuff, your Duolingos or anything like that? Did you ever try?
Oh no, I knew Duolingo was garbage from a long time ago because I had to sit through that in my Spanish classes, and I knew how stupid it was.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because I already had to deal with it in Spanish. So.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. I always like to add because like that's especially with the people learning Asian languages, that's definitely a huge split because it is not good for a lot of languages, but it's definitely not good for Asian languages at all.
Definitely not, because the reason why the traditional language learning methods work with like Western languages is because they all come from the same roots. With like Asian languages, like at least East Asian languages, it's completely different.
Right.
So it just doesn't. You can't use similarities to kind of learn the language. So.
Yeah, I've always thought. Have you ever seen the Japanese from Zero textbooks?
Yeah, I actually watched his videos at the beginning.
Okay, yeah, I think that he teaches those books. I think teach specifically hiragana really well because each lesson he'll take out 5 letters. So the first lesson is obviously a e u I o, and like then it'll be kake kuki ko, and like so each lesson you learn 5, and then you will never see them in romaji again. It slowly trains you up. And I thought, I started learning Japanese in 2009. Which is hilarious because basically every person who's learned it is way more advanced than me. But I would love to have had that in 2009 or at least known about it. I don't know when he came up with those, but like I thought that was a really cool system for learning, that gradual introduction, and then not ever rely on it again. Once you learn it, that's it.
Yeah, I think I Anki'd my way through kana. Like I just grinded it for like a week or something. And it eventually stuck. And like I like do it in Anki and I like write it down, and I basically just powered through it because I mean it shouldn't take you more than like a week, maybe a week and a half.
Yeah.
You can mostly nail it down by then, and I mean it's just the Japanese from Zero textbooks. I mean they're definitely not the worst textbooks, but it's like why pay for the textbook when you could just do it with Anki for free?
Right.
It's just kind of
and I mean again all those lessons are on YouTube for free. I mean he does like little follow-ups.
Yeah, the YouTube things they were pretty helpful for me when I was first starting out, just because there's just a lot of stuff that's confusing when you're at the beginning. Like some things that are just obvious to me now, I just couldn't wrap my head around at the beginning. So those videos did help a lot. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think he's a cool dude, and I think I'm not gonna knock. As a matter of fact, he said some stuff that really has made me feel comfortable in Japanese, and that is that the first thing that was brought to my attention that really made me think like, all right, this guy, like I get it, is when he was talking about remembering kanji, and he was like, we beat ourselves up because we want to learn it in 3 months. Japanese people study it 9 years.
Yeah.
And then we're upset that we can't learn it in 3 months. So, and I was like, that's fair enough. I'll give you that. So,
Yeah, I mean, and and the thing is that people also get hung up on studying kanji, forgetting that Japanese people read stuff outside of school and they learn from that too.
mm-hmm,
So like a lot of Japanese people learn a lot of kanji from manga, for example,
mm-hmm.
and just other books they read on their own time outside of school, if they even read at all. And so, uh, I don't know. Like I feel like a lot of people don't seem to think about it that way and just focus on just studying, a lot of kanji, and that just burns you out.
Right. And I know, because we had talked about this on Twitter and messages, but because I told you the thing that really stands out to me in the interview that you had with Matt was at the end. I think he was asking if you had any final thoughts, and you were like, if I could go back, I wouldn't have sacrificed immersion time for Anki time. And you had told me that you were meaning more so specifically time with like remember the kanji. So
Yeah.
like how would you, like if you were to start over that process of that, like what would you have maybe even done RTK or just kind of learned it in the wild, so to speak?
It's funny because I met someone. I got invited to a Discord. I met someone who's also been doing Immersion for a good while, and she was telling me, basically it was like why RTK was just kind of pointless, and I thought about it, and it's like the thing about RTK is that like looking back, I already got everything I needed out of it, like before I even got halfway through it, because the main thing you take away from RTK is being able to break down kanji as soon as you see it, like break it apart, break it into parts so that it's easier to read.
Right.
And you can already do that pretty early on because you just need to know like the few, like the 100, maybe 200, like basic kanji, and then all of that is just that combined in different ways, and that's basically all the rest of the other kanji.
Right.
So you don't really need to do all three, like all the Joyo kanji, or like the 3000 in RTK 1 and 3, because you get all the basic stuff you need way early on, like even the stroke orders, you basically get a feel for it way earlier on. So if you're not really planning on writing Japanese, there isn't that much of a point in doing all of RTK, and I think this is why, this might be part of the reason why Matt cut down so much on RTK, besides the fact that doing like writing it out with the English definitions, it's not good for retention. You can't remember it after a while. You can't associate English words with Japanese characters, especially once you start immersing. It gets really disconnected, and that's why people's retention rates just drop.
Right. I can understand that. And I when I recently spoke with Matt, and that was the thing, he was like, just try to burn through it as quick as possible. Because I told him my only real frustration so far, and I'm picking up words through immersion, right? Like I've picked up 40 or 50 words without actually even trying to pick up words. But the same thing is like, man, instead of doing 20 or 30 kanji a day, man, if I was adding 20 or 30 vocabulary words until I could start building those +1 or the T1 sentences, whatever the T1 I think they're called now. I don't. But I mean, like, I think that would, like, if I could add that, like that vocabulary, I think would help me maybe more than the kanji, just because then I would be able to start understanding more, and like it would just be this snowball effect.
Yeah, because you can always go back and just learn how to write kanji later, like Matt did. Because because what people need to remember is that Matt was still able to become really good at reading, even though he dropped RTK at the beginning. He went and did RTK afterwards. I mean, yeah, there's like similar words that you somewhat confuse sometimes, but it doesn't cause you that much of a problem when you're actually reading.
Right.
And so, and I think that I would still confuse some. Like it was not even that I confused characters. I just confused reading sometimes. And so, like, even if like I recognize the character, I'm like, wait, what was that reading again? Then I'll confuse it with another one sometimes. And so it just kind of doesn't really make that much of a difference in the end, at least for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good experience, but I don't think it was that worth it, really. I mean, at least not to go through like remember like the entirety of remembering the kanji 1 through 3. That was way too much. But
Yeah. So do you think, like, if you were to do it over, would you have just not done that and just went right into like maybe vocab study until you could get to a point where you had the +1 sentences?
I think I still would have done RTK to an extent, or at least learn a lot of the basic kanji and sort of like how some characters are modified, to fit certain characters. Like for example, like the character for water is modified like when it's on the side or when it's on the bottom, and stuff like that.
Right.
So I would probably have learned some of that. But otherwise, I think I would have just gone without doing RTK in its entirety. It was kind of pointless. But at the same time, though, I kind of needed to really be doing something that made me feel like I was progressing at the time. Because the one thing that I really wanted to avoid at the time was quitting, because I knew I'm really susceptible to that. So I don't think vocab cards would have been a valid, like not valid, but like it wouldn't have really worked, because at that point, I was still learning just how to parse sentences and stuff like that.
Right.
So it wouldn't really have worked as well. But
I got you. Yeah, and that's like reading the comments here. I didn't realize that there were so many people that were split from that RTK thing. I thought it was just a natural thing, and like now that I'm seeing the ton of comments and everybody's like, yeah, like Zach says, I did 200 kanji and I feel like I got enough to start getting into real sentence mining and stuff like that, and like that's pretty interesting. Well, plus two, and when you get into sentence mining, you're gonna see those characters anyway.
Yeah, that's the other thing about sentence mining, because I actually kind of want to get into that because of the anime cards thing. Like because I just got into that like 2 days ago. After someone showed me it. The thing, I guess, the reason why I like what anime cards did over sentence mining is that the thing I hated so much about sentence mining is that I had to read the sentence every single time that I ran into the card, even if I was reviewing it. So I had to read that same sentence over and over and over again, and it just get boring. And so I couldn't just blaze through my reps. But with the anime cards, you get the vocab on the front and the sentence is on the back. So if you know the word already, you don't really need the sentence, because what you're worried about is knowing what the word means.
Right.
And if you forget it, then you can just refresh it with the sentence on the back. And so if you already know the words, you can just blaze through your reps really quickly. And it's just, for me, it's just more convenient. So I started doing it that way.
Yeah.
And also, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with it, because like I'm over halfway through at this point for RTK 1, and I figure whatever.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
And it's actually like I have like been reading stuff for like I'm a huge Animal Crossing fan, and like so I watch, like there's a dude that plays it called Masuo Games, and like I'll watch him play Animal Crossing, and like sometimes when when the kanji pops up, I see it and I know at least have an idea as to what that means. So, but I want to start looking at, I just downloaded an Anki deck, and it's 52,000 cards, and it's Animal Crossing. It's all Animal Crossing.
What?
Like, it's got like all the sentences from it, but it's got like, I guess, individual vocabulary. So
why?
Yeah, because that's, and the thing is what's cool about that is like you can learn a lot of, normal vocabulary through Animal Crossing, because you build stuff, but there's like flowers and houses and you fly, like there's a lot of just real life vocabulary. Let me see here. My original way of learning kanji was just doing sentence mining, but instead Matt convinced me that RTK was the way to go, but then a month later I thought my original method was always the way to go. Subs to SRS plus Morphman I think is the best way, and if I don't know a kanji, I just copy and paste it into Jisho and look up the radicals if needed. Yeah, did you use subs to SRS? I can't I can't do it, man. It's hard for me.
And then I realized it's actually it was a great idea in theory, but in practice, it wasn't all that great, because the problem with subs to SRS is that you not only do you get the stuff that you want to learn, you get more crap that you don't care about or already know.
Mm-hmm.
So it just ends up becoming a big waste of time, really.
Yeah,
because you have to go through so much. Essentially, you have to go through a lot of garbage to find like the I+1 stuff, and it's just Why don't you just watch the show and add the I+1 stuff as you go?
Instead of having the useless sentences.
Yeah, and also it just creates this giant deck that you have to mine through with like 5,000 cards, and that's just daunting.
Or 52,000.
Right, and
Yeah.
think about that, and like how many anime are you gonna be watching at that time? Like I was watching a ton of shows at that time, so
Right.
like you multiply that, and it's like, oh well, okay, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because it does seem like a lot. Which there's, Zach says Morphman cuts down on the crap. That's another thing. I've literally never installed Morphman onto Anki at all. I've never.
Yeah, I've never, I don't even really know about Morphman all that much. I didn't really feel like reading through all of it because I wasn't doing Anki at the time. So
Yeah. Are anime cards audio cards?
you can add, actually it's in the like in the website, you can add audio basically. Like it depends on what you're doing because like just the formatting you can use it for whatever, but when you're watching anime, for example, you just play the clip that has the whatever sentence it is that you were gonna mine. And you just like record the clip with the hotkey and you paste the sound into Anki just like that.
Yeah,
So,
I got set up on that not too right when I started MIA in April. I was like, I'm gonna do, because I've actually this is the third time I've tried it. The first two I stuck to it for a day, and this time I'm 2 months in, so I finally figured out what was going on. But yeah, I got it's called like ShareX or something like that, and if I'm watching something, I just press F3 and it'll record that clip, and then I can just paste it right into Anki, which is super awesome. Let me see. You need Dave from Otaku. I sent Dave a message on Instagram asking if he wanted to do an interview, and he hadn't responded yet. I don't think he does a lot on social media. I don't even know what Morphman is. I don't feel like researching it either.
yeah, that's me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. I guess like the idea is like I think some like the what I understand, and Anki is something that's even new to me. Like honestly, if I didn't have I Skyped Matt one night and he spent like an hour and a half setting my Anki up. If he didn't do that, I still would not be using it, man. Like that makes me sound like I'm way older than I am. Like I don't understand technology, but there was just so many ins and out that I just did not understand.
Yeah, like I was looking, like I saw the MIA page and I looked at how long the guide was, and I was just kind of like, and this is all for like one thing. I'm like, wait, hold up, I don't really want to read through all this. I mean, I mean, normally I just be like, it's just, if you can't read that, you can't learn Japanese. But it's just kind of like, I mean, do I really need this? Is kind of what I thought at the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, because given that at the point where Morphman was coming out, I was already like reading books and stuff, and I wasn't really minding all that much, because it was just kind of inconvenient. Because I was reading a lot of stuff on paper, sometimes on Kindle. I wouldn't always be at my computer, and I just didn't like sentence mining, to be honest with you.
I gotcha.
So, because yeah, it's just I could just never. I don't know what it was, but I think partly it was also because like a lot of the add-ons that I liked, I couldn't use on mobile.
Yeah.
But the MA add-on is directly embedded into the cards, like the JavaScript, so that's why it works on mobile. And I only found out about that 2 days ago. Like when I opened Anki on my phone, I'm like, oh, let's check this, and I'm like, wait, why is the highlighting working? Wait, what?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, looks like I'm gonna start doing Anki again.
Yeah. So you, yeah. So Morphman maybe came out a little too late for you, because like once you got to the points where you have like a decent level of fluency, it's probably just a lot easier to pick up words. Like how often do you make? Like I know that you said that you just recently started using Anki again. How often do you make cards?
Oh my god. Okay, so I was playing a visual novel on the when I'm still playing through DS Ida, and it's it has a lot of weird language. It's also just words that I know the meaning of that I just forget the reading and don't bother to look it up. That's a problem I also had. So adding all that together, and how fast I could make cards. And now, given I have my new card counter limited to 30 a day because I was making a lot. I think I did like 63 in like a few hours.
Whoa.
Yeah, and now that's like just that's just kind of abnormal because like visual novels, I was just reading through it and I have the text hooker, and so I could just easily throw it into Anki right away. It would be a way less watching a show or reading a light novel on like my Kindle or something. But and with visual novels is where I think I mind the hardest. But yeah, it was like 63 or something. Today yesterday I did a lot too. Today not as much, but yeah, it's like man.
You're doing the I+1 sentences, right? Or are you doing
I'm
just
most,
vocabulary?
Yeah, mostly just doing vocabulary, and then I'll add a screen, or like I'll either add the sentence or a screenshot of it if I can. The text hooker for the game I'm playing, it doesn't get the text on voiced lines, so yeah, like I did that, and I'm just like, dude, like I knew my Japanese was lacking, and I knew it was lacking a decent amount in terms of vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could get through light novels for the most part, but I'd still run into a lot of words that I didn't know, even if I could like get through the book without a problem. And I was just like, oh man, I got some work to do.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it's. I guess it's one of those things, though. Like, it's kind of like a realization that Japanese is probably going to be a lifelong
Yeah,
thing.
because I even have a novel that I've had for like maybe a year or two. I have a lot of books that's probably been sitting there for like a year, and I still haven't read them in paper. And it's like I would like to continue reading it, but it's just that it's just a pain when I'm reading on paper and I can't look up words as easily. So I'm just kind of like, well, if I don't feel like reading on paper because of that, I might as well just kind of sink my time into a bunch of stuff where I can like that I enjoy, obviously, that I can like learn a lot of words and vocab that I'll probably end up finding in these other books I want to read that I own, and to make it easier whenever I do decide to go read them. Because with me, Japanese, it was mainly because I wanted to read a lot of things more than speaking. So
I gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. And I think that's a big thing for people to remember, because like everybody seems to be like just in the language community in general. Like there's this thing of like, if you're not doing something the way someone thinks you should do it, then you're wrong. But like if that's your goal, if your goal is to read, I mean that's what your goal is. It's like, and I think a lot of people get caught up on that because they're like, oh, you can't speak, or you can't do this, and it's like what if I told you, my goal isn't to do that. I had somebody who in one of my live streams was like, but why wouldn't you try to output? And I said, I've literally had the chance 4 times in my life to use Japanese. Why would I concentrate on output? Like I never ever have a chance to use it. So why would I not concentrate on being able to comprehend what's said to me, and then I'll work on output later? Because like,
yeah,
I can listen to Japanese anytime. I can't speak it whenever. I mean, I could get online, but like that's still a whole different thing. So.
Yeah, like because you have to go out of your way to go and find Japanese people to talk to, and you don't even know if you have similar interests or any of that.
Yep.
And it's just like, well, I mean, why am I gonna do that when I could just sit at home and watch anime all day? And then eventually, when I run into a Japanese person, it's like, okay, cool.
Yep.
Well, actually, for me, what happens is that I go to like Kinokuniya, there's Japanese people there, and then my anxiety is like, don't do it.
Yeah, that's the same thing that happens to me, man. I was gonna speak to in the same night. My wife wanted Chinese food, and I got Mexican, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna practice. I don't speak Chinese, but I know just a little bit. And so I was like, I'm gonna bust a little Chinese on these people, and then I was like, I'm gonna hit a little Spanish as well. And both restaurants, man, I went in and froze. Like I was just like, nope, not happening. So, Jordan says, do you like vocab more than sentence cards?
In all honesty, yes. I do like vocab cards more than sentence cards for the simple reason that I just can't be bothered to read the sentence every single time I run into the card. Like, I mean, how do I say this? Like, especially before, because like some of the stuff I would mind would be stuff that I like. If it was an anime, for example, it's something I've either watched or listened to so many times. So it's like I knew it about like the back of my hand. Like why? Like, even if it's a new word, it's like I need it from somewhere else. So I just don't want to think about the show. Like I just want to focus on building as much vocabulary as possible right now, because I'm fine with grammar, because that's the thing. Like I don't really have to worry about grammar and stuff as much as when I was still a beginner. Like I'm mostly focused on building my vocabulary up, because that's what I'm lacking the most.
Right.
and so it's just kind of a difference in priority as like you start to improve.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad that you said that because I was actually going to ask you that, and that is that. Do you think that from where you have a base and probably you're definitely way past a beginner. You're probably into an intermediate, or I don't really know where your level is, but I know that you've been doing it for a long time. But like, do you think that just a single word vocabulary is probably easier for you to pick up now because of that knowledge of Japanese? You know, kind of like in English, if somebody says to you a word that you've never heard before, it's a lot easier for you to pick it up because you're familiar with the language. It's not just a completely foreign sound.
Yeah, like it's really not as hard to pick it up because it's just like, okay, I just listen or see the word a couple times and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of starting to get it now. Like, I mean, yeah, I'll forget it, but I'll run into it again and again. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm kind of starting to get this again. And for context, it's like, well, if I'm adding those to my vocab deck, I'm running into those in my immersion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm probably gonna run into it again eventually, and if not, if it really stands out to me and I really want to remember, I'll just like look up the definition again just to refresh my memory and stuff like that. It's just I just really like I don't like before. I can't really see myself waking up in the morning, taking out my phone and doing sentence cards. Like it's just it didn't work before, and it's not gonna work now.
Right. Well, like I mean, there's a lot of people that I've talked to who said that, talking about like if it's a word that you need to know, like reading is a natural SRS system, you're gonna see it again.
Yeah, I'm looking at the comments. So until you have a firm grasp of grammar and are well into the monolingual transition, would you recommend sticking with sentence cards? Well, yeah, I basically what the other people said, just read more, yeah. Because getting a firm grasp of grammar and getting into the monolingual transition is just a matter of just reading more. That's all it is. Getting more grammar, getting more vocabulary, it's literally just read more. Because later on, the majority of your vocabulary is going to be eventually coming from reading. Like after you get like the mostly conversation or whatever it's used in spoken, because that's still like a really small part of Japanese, and everything else is mostly just read. And so improving grammar, improving vocabulary and stuff like that, it's just a lot of like reading.
Yeah, do you when you read, do you ever, I know that you do, like you talked about doing the visual novels and stuff, but do you ever like have the audiobook playing while you read to have kind of like a double reinforcement, or is it just you just reading?
No, because, well, for one, sometimes it's inconvenient to do that, and I don't really want to deal with it. But also, it's like it doesn't feel comfortable. Like when I'm reading, like for example, when I'm reading a book, I just want to focus on the book. I don't want to focus on the book and what I'm listening to. Like that's really, because then I have to like split my attention. Gotcha. And then I also have to read at the pace of what I'm listening to, and I don't like that. I like to read at my own pace.
Okay.
And so it kind of just messes with me because I have a weird habit when I read. Like I kind of start slow and then I start to speed up, and so I start reading like faster as I go on. And as I get used to the book or the series, like I start to, or like when I get really into something, I like start reading really fast. And it's just I don't feel comfortable, I guess, because you can listen to the words that you don't know, and then you can like type them out and look them up. But other than that, I don't really think there's that much benefit if you're going to be doing a lot of listening immersion during other times of the day.
Gotcha.
Like because you're already getting your listening immersion during some other time, so just take this time to just focus on some books.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Because I've one thing I've done differently this month versus my first month is I've immersed less with video and I've started reading more, just because I do find that, like, I feel like reading is maybe the best way to pick up vocabulary.
No, it is. It's that like that for any language. Like the only reason why, like in school, for example, English class was probably my easiest class. Why? Because I read a crap ton when I was a kid. And because I read so many books, my reading was always ahead of pretty much everyone else. And that didn't really read much. And so I never had to struggle with like English grammar or any of that. and I don't even understand like that much of like the like how English grammar works. I just type it,
Yeah.
and it's like it's just because I read so much and I just kind of like picked up the vocabulary, picked up the grammar, and so I just kind of it was just kind of fine. And so it's kind of the same in other languages. You just keep reading, you just eventually amass a large vocabulary the more you read.
Yeah.
And some stuff you don't even ever use when you're speaking, but when you read it, you understand.
Understand it. And when you first started reading, did you, like, when you just came across, for example, like a kanji that you didn't know, and if it didn't have, like, the furigana, you just looked it up and you just went on? Or did you only stop and look up stuff every so often versus every time you didn't know something?
It depended on what I was reading on. So if it's like Kindle, I'll look up the word pretty much every time I see something I don't know. Same thing when, anytime I'm on something digital where I can easily look up a word. If I'm reading on paper, it just depends on whether or not I'm at my desktop, really. Or if I want to pull out my phone and look up the word.
Gotcha.
Because, with paper, it's such a hassle where I'm just kind of like, I'll just keep reading. If I'm just doing this for fun. I mean, looking back, that's kind of what it kind of stagnated my growth because I wasn't acquiring new things constantly. But I mean, it kept me in the game at least. So
yeah, because I love. Do you plan on doing like more stuff on your YouTube or anything?
Yeah, I'm planning on doing. I mean, I'll probably, I'll probably post an update video soon. Because it's been 6 months since I last posted anything, and it's like, yeah, I should probably post something, or maybe I might just rant. I might post me practicing some output, or just like talking about some random stuff in Japanese, like stuff that I would do sitting by myself in my room and just kind of record it, and stuff like that. I don't think a lot of it's really going to be structured content.
Hey man, that's it's literally made much of. I have no structure at all, man. That's literally the that's the allure to my channel, is that I don't really edit. I don't do. It's just me, and like the thoughts happen sometimes, and sometimes it'll hit and it'll go in a whole different spectrum, and then I'll have to reel it back in when I realize I'm so far off topic. But there's a market for it.
I mean, like at this point, because my camera's pretty bad, and sometimes people just kind of let the video go in the background. I might just like put a game in the background and just talk over it. Like,
you could do Let's Plays in Japanese.
I thought about that actually at one point, but it's just like it's weird because I have a number of PS4 games I'd love to play. I just can't record them, so I don't have to stick to PC. But even then, I don't have any games that I particularly really want to play on my computer right now. And then tomorrow Phantasy Star Online 2 releases in the West, and me and like my guildmates were gonna jump on that, and so that's gonna kill a lot of my game time because I'm gonna play that.
Yeah, no, I understand, man. I played Phantasy Star Online for the Dreamcast, like religiously.
Like, it's like, why don't you just play the Japanese server? And like, I got on at one point, but I didn't know what I was doing and stuff. And when I play MMOs, I need friends.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, I know. I played World of Warcraft for a little bit, and the people that got me to play would go on to like way further advanced stuff, and I was like, because they were like, come play with us, and I was like, all right, cool. So I got on, and they were like, all right, level up, and then we're gonna go over here, and I'm like, so I'm still technically playing by myself. I don't understand what I'm doing here.
Yeah, it's just like I just have like a group that I've stuck with so long, and it's just like, yeah, it's kind of weird not playing MMOs with them. So it's just, yeah, it's one of those things. But like, yeah, I would probably like record like the long gaming sessions I do there, and just leave that in the background while I talk or while I rant about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not just gonna let my YouTube just die. Like,
nah, dude. Like the thing is, like MIA has such a weird, like, let me see here. I was gonna look at what, because you probably have a bunch of you, like, people search for MIA or Ajatt all the time. Like it's let me see. I was gonna see what your MIA update, because you probably have a decent Let's see. Yeah, this one video you have 419 subscribers, and
Oh
you
yeah,
like your videos are like your last 3 videos are over 1,000 views.
yeah, I know. It's I didn't think that the me just that random video me just reading like the first chapter of Kizumonogatari would get that many views.
Mm.
I think the reason was because you know, my first video speaking Japanese, like I keep telling people like it's garbage. I sound like trash in that video. Like how many times I have to say it? Like legitimately, it's not good. But that's just because I didn't output enough at that time. I definitely sound better now. But
Do you work on your output regularly?
no.
No.
It's really occasional thing because I only have like one Japanese person I talk to on one Discord.
Mm.
Time to time, whenever he pops into a voice channel, I'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" And that's about it. But I'm like sometimes a lot of thoughts just kind of come into my head randomly in Japanese, and it's funny because some of these like are like really structured thoughts, and like they come out in like correct Japanese, but then when I go to output, it's like, what?
Right.
Like I don't know what this is. And so it's really a matter of practice. I think like Matt made a tweet about it, like about the thing with output. It's like you need to practice for a while before you can really like be able to use the language properly, especially because you know most of your knowledge is basically passive because you don't use them regularly. So you have to like kind of train yourself to like be able to like recall a lot of ideas and thoughts and words to be able to express them properly over time. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's even in your native language, right? Like, I can talk to my 3.5-year-old, and for the most part, he'll understand what I'm saying. But there's sometimes when he's talking, like that sentence will come out very broken or not exact. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, it happens like that even with your native language.
yeah, man.
Let me see. I'm playing Final Fantasy, but I have all the cutscenes audio in Japanese right now. Do you use subtitles? That's Zach. Did you when you started? Did you watch with English subtitles, or did you watch? Did you cut the subtitles off?
No, if I use subtitles, it was Japanese subtitles, not English subtitles. English subtitles. I mean, to put it this way, for everyone who's been watching anime, at least you've been watching anime with subtitles for how many years now, and how much Japanese do you know?
Right.
That's your answer. Like, I started really getting into anime, and I was like, what, 11, 12, and 16. I knew like what the words that every weeb knows, and that's it.
Right.
So
yeah, well, I know that because like and you know what? Actually, it goes to further your point of not being able to like not you're kind of half concentrating when I was talking about reading with like reading and listening to the audio if you were reading, because yeah, when you're watching that, if you're reading the subtitles, most of the time your brain is naturally just, you might like very weirdly passively be picking it up, but if I'm reading subtitles, the audio that I'm hearing is almost an afterthought.
yeah, that's what it is. And so that's why you have to like just kind of sit through watching stuff, not understanding it, and somehow be entertained by it. You just got to figure it out. Really, you got to find something you want to watch.
Yeah,
like I was watching Death Note in with English subs, and midway when I started Ajatt, I just switched and just started watching it raw. And you know, the thing with anime is that you'd be surprised at how much of the story you understand from just the visuals alone.
Yeah,
like I understood pretty much the entirety of the story just from the visuals.
Yep.
It's not hard to follow, really.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's you know, because I get a lot of people that ask me stuff like at random times, and you know, sometimes just like how do I deal with like you know, starting out immersing and not understanding everything, and my answer is the same every time. You just got to deal with it. Like everyone goes through. Like there's no way to make it feel better. You're gonna feel like garbage listening to stuff you don't understand for like the first month.
Right.
And it's just how badly do you want it, really?
Right. No, I agree, and that's like when I started. That's why I went to YouTube. I created a YouTube account in Japanese, and that's why I was like, okay, I love Animal Crossing, I love Mario Maker. Like, there's a couple things I love, and I'm gonna watch videos in that because that's stuff that I love, right? And so I feel like that's kind of eased the burden a little bit. But yeah, no, there is like it kind of is just this powering through like. You you kind of just have to do it. And eventually it does feel cool because like I'm sure you got to a point, like I'm getting to a point now where like every time I watch something, I hear something a little bit clearer and I'm like, okay, I think I've heard that word before or something like that. So like then that becomes the motivation, right? Because it's like I understood one word more than I did last time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and it's also a matter of just like when you're going through it, it's like you're like, oh wait, I didn't understand any of this like a couple months ago. It's like, man, I'm actually making some progress. And it's like 6 months in, I played the games that I like kind of wanted to play when I first started learning Japanese, and I understood them pretty well. And I'm just like, damn, man, I did it. It was like a year.
How much were you doing? Like how much were you immersing a day and stuff like that?
I want to say on average, it was probably a minimum of about 2-3 hours or so of listening at least. For like the first 9 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
Except like 1 week where I was in Florida on vacation, I did like almost nothing. But if there's one thing I can say about like immersing for long periods of time, I'd really recommend you get like wireless headphones instead of like earbuds, because having an earbud jammed into your ear for that long, like I can't comfortably use earbuds anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just hurts now. It just, after a while, like inside of my ear, it just starts like I just feel like this like pain, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let me not do that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Earbuds.
So yeah, that's definitely not healthy.
I struggle with that myself. Yeah, in order to get good at anything, you just gotta suffer. I mean, that's in a weird way, it is true. I mean, you kind of just have to get through it. It's easy to forget about it after you finished it. Anime at this point for me is generic. Anime is actually something I'm just getting into.
See, anime is so awesome when you first get into it, and then it like goes up, reaches its peak, and it just goes back down. Like that's basically my experience. Like I like anime. It's just that I'm really picky about them now because there's a lot of crap.
Right.
Like before, I could like watch trash anime all day like it was the best thing in the world. Now I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm tired of this.
Yeah. I mean, it's something I'm just getting into because that's the thing. Like the general stereotype for you like Japanese, you must love anime, and like it's not like my story is it's always the same. I love professional wrestling like more than almost anything on the planet, and Japanese has such an awesome pro wrestling scene. Japan has such an awesome pro wrestling scene, and I can remember growing up reading like wrestling mags and like seeing the stuff from Japan.
Man, these sumo wrestlers, man, they're a different species, man. They're just, I never seen such a hard-working group of people.
Yeah.
Like they just eat, sleep, and work out like crazy. I mean, like I never seen a guy that heavy easily do push-ups, do a split. It's amazing. Like,
yeah, the flexibility they have is weird.
Yeah, it's like they're ridiculously strong, and I'm just like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really serious. Like they basically eat pretty much like the same things every day and stuff like that, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah. No,
it's really interesting stuff.
It is, man. I'm into Yakuza movies at the moment. I love the Yakuza series of video games.
Yeah, I have the first two. You know, it's funny because those were I bought those two in English, and at that time I was like, why am I buying these in English when even the voice is still in Japanese? Like, why am I wasting my... And I actually rebought both of those in Japanese. I haven't finished either of them.
They're so good.
I know.
Such a good series of games.
I know, but it's like at the time I was reading, I'm like, man, I don't know some of these words, man. It's kind of rough.
Yeah, I wondered like how the dialogue in that would be, since it's like it's set a little while back, but I envision like probably like roughneck street talk is probably not exactly
like, I mean, it's not that hard, really. The Yakuza series, it's really not that bad. It's not particularly super difficult to understand. It's just the font is uncomfortable to read for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
But otherwise, man, that series is just
Yeah,
it's, oh man, the memes too. Oh,
it's
it was just wonderful.
it's good.
It's just amazing just having like this serious like most yakuza like yakuza, and then he's like doing karaoke. It's like
Yeah. Let me see. Let's see. I would start with Full Metal Alchemist. So good, the story and art. Love it. Don't watch tons of anime either. None for years, actually. Yeah, I've never watched Full Metal Alchemist, and from where I'm just getting into it, man, I've watched a little bit of Death Note. I've watched some Slam Dunk because I love basketball also, and I love. I watched something else. I don't know. I've not watched a lot. There's something else I watched that I couldn't remember the name of it, and people like flipped out that I didn't remember the name, and I don't remember the name now. Um, it was the one with the giant Attack on Titan. Yeah,
yeah, no, I like. See, here's the funny story about Attack on Titan. I like the first season. I forced myself to watch that because my friend was like, "Yo, this is so good," and I'm watching. I'm like,
Mhm.
"This is really not. This sucks." And then I watched the second season because I was like, "Okay, let's see what happens." And then, like some of the mystery stuff kicked in. I was like, "Okay, now it's good. Now it's good." And like I haven't finished the third season because I like watched halfway and then stopped. But it's a good series once you get through the first, like half that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But
One
I mean,
day.
it's an alright series.
Yeah, one day I will get into it. Seabolt, did you watch Ultimate Muscle? I did not watch Ultimate Muscle. First anime I ever watched, my uncle showed me Honey Pony Dash when I was 11.
Yeah, someone said about Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Yeah, I watched that. It was a good show. It's just, man, it's really long. But it's just I'm just not used to watching shows that long anymore. Like I used to
Right.
be able to go through hundreds of episodes of One Piece like when I was younger, and now I just can't.
Yeah, if I go to look at something and there's a lot of seasons, specifically with a lot of episodes, I'm generally just like, I'll get to this one later.
Yeah, I'm like like 400 episodes behind on One Piece or something. I haven't watched it in years.
Ugh, I would
like,
never watch that.
Like, cause One Piece is really good. It's just, man, it's long. Like, it's just long when you're not caught up.
Yeah. I keep having people try to get me to watch Supernatural, and I'm like, there's 20 seasons, and like each season is 20 episodes, and they're an hour long a piece. I can't. There's no way that I could do that.
Yeah. Someone asked, how would you explain understanding versus learning? I don't really understand the question. What do you mean understanding versus learning, or do you mean like just knowing like a vocabulary versus like fully understanding it? Like what do you like? What do you mean? Because like
I wonder if it means like comprehension, like in terms of like internalizing and like acquiring versus like versus like people who learn but still have to translate in their head because they've not acquired it, so to speak.
Well, I mean, when you're still translating in your head, I mean, you can't really help that. You just gotta immerse more, and it'll happen less. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm honestly not really sure how to answer that question. If you could rephrase that, that would be great, though, because I'm kind of confused, to be honest with you. Yeah. Let me see. And I know I have things to talk. I just didn't write anything down, so I'm just like winging it right now.
Oh no, you're good. That's the way that I do it, man. I don't really prepare anything, but I also feel like it makes for a better conversation versus like the what does this happen? You know what I mean? Like which is perfectly fine. It works, but I just don't, I can't watch One Piece at all because it's hundreds of episodes per seasons. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The fillers also drive me nuts. I mean, yeah. Someone said like Naruto. Yeah, the Naruto Shippuden fillers were they were not only terrible fillers, but that was most of the show. Oh man,
That's not good. Like if most of the show's fillers, that's no good at all. Naruto and the fillers are bad. Oh, okay, gotcha. I see what you're saying now. Yeah, what kind of movie? Like, this question is, it's not really a question, but like just seeing that. What kind of do you watch? Like live action movie? Like one of my favorite movies ever. As a matter of fact, my second favorite movie of all time is Battle Royale.
I haven't really watched any movies, to be honest with you. I think the only ones I've watched are the stuff that like Matt did, like maybe 2 movies Matt did in his Discord like 2 years ago when I was still in there, because I left the Discord like 6 months into learning Japanese and I haven't gone back.
Mm.
So like I think that I don't even remember the names. They were like really pretty like meh movies, but yeah, I don't know. It's just like I'm not a movie guy, so like I don't go out looking for movies. But if someone recommends me something that's interesting, then you know I'll watch it.
Gotcha, man.
Eventually.
Do you know the plot of Battle Royale?
No, I don't even know anything about it.
Oh my god, dude! So Battle Royale. The tagline is "Today I killed my best friend," and it's about these elementary students who basically every year Japan does this thing where they take a one classroom to this island and have the students kill themselves, and the last student left alive gets to leave the island, and it's just the tale of the specific year that it happened. Like, it's pretty nuts, man. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah, it sounds pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. It's as Zach says, Hunger Games basically. Hunger Games is not like 100% a ripoff of it, but I would say a good 95. Only way less violent than what that is. Let me see. It's Anime Godfather, by the way. I also can't rephrase the question. I can't find a way to rephrase the question.
Yeah, I'm still confused on that one. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I would like to answer, but it's like learning versus understanding versus learning. That kind of doesn't really register in my head because like it's just kind of like learning leads to understanding. So like that's how I process it in my head. So
I got you.
Or like yeah, something like that. Like yeah, essentially.
Do your friends do you have friends that like learn languages, or are you kind of like a weird dude because you learn languages or learn Japanese?
Out of my friends in real life, yeah, I'm pretty much the only one that like really dedicate time to learning a language, and it's like, I mean, they're just like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, you know. It's just like whatever. And yeah, like I don't know, like when I started, I think it's funny, the person who was most excited about it actually was my Spanish teacher, my AP Spanish teacher at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because because the AP Spanish class was just for natives, really. And so, that was the only Spanish class that was actually kind of useful because, like, our teacher, he's not a native, but he's native level. And then everyone else is also a native, but our Spanish kind of sucks because we all just use English in our daily lives.
Mm.
And so, like, I, like, sit down with him and, like, talk during lunch about the learning process all the time. And I tell him about immersion. He's like, yeah, that's pretty much, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of funny because like he teaches languages at schools, but he's very aware that really the best way to learn is to spend as much time as possible with the language. And any good language teacher probably knows that. It's just that they know that none of their students are going to take the time outside of class to do that, because that's kind of the problem. It's like when it comes to school, no one really cares.
Yeah.
So I think that's like one of the main reasons why people don't make progress, is just because they don't want to be there in the first place, so they're not gonna put any effort, and so that's why they don't really make any progress. In addition to just like the methods in class not really being all that useful, because like you don't really need to study all that much grammar. Like, actually, this is another thing. I just remembered this because I've been talking with a lot of people about this kind of stuff lately. Take Kim's grammar guide, because people also bring that up to me. And it's like, people mine it, because I know Matt was, telling people that, oh yeah, you can mine the sentences if you want and stuff. And I'm like, why? Because I did like what, maybe I think I did maybe 100 cards on it taken, maybe like over the course of a short amount of time, and then I stopped because it was just kind of pointless, because the example sentences aren't even Japanese worth remembering. And you don't need to like memorize all of those grammar concepts. You just kind of need to have them sort of in your head and be aware of it in your immersion, and then you just kind of naturally pick it up. Like it's not worth the effort just mining it completely. Like you can just skim through it and be done with it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's what I've done a little bit. I'll literally read a chapter. If it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, no, just move on. Because I don't want to spend an hour studying Take Him versus reading for 10 minutes a chapter. If it sticks, it does. If not, but then I can go and immerse, and I'll probably see a grammar structure anyway.
it's like Take Him is such a slog to read through. I mean, it was boring. I remember when I finished Take Him, I was like, yes! I like scrolled to the last week. Yes, I'm done. I'm not going to look at this ever again. And I haven't looked at it ever again since. It's been like, what, 2 years? Yeah, it's a good guide, but you just read through it once, and that's pretty much all you need. If you want to study more grammar, study it in Japanese once you get better, really. That's really the best thing to do.
Yeah, well, I know that, like, that's, I don't know how much you pay attention to different things. Like, I don't know what, like, if your interests are diehard into language learning or just spending time in Japanese, but that's what Steve Kaufman always talks about. Like, he spends so much time with the language that he kind of just absorbs the grammar just because he spends so much time with it.
Yeah, that's how Steve Kaufman works. Is because I mean I don't like watching stuff, but I know of him. I saw his interview with Matt and stuff, and it's just that the one thing that I at least try to make people aware of with like these polyglots is that they learn a lot of languages, but their understanding to each language is still really shallow.
Mm-hmm.
So like they know a lot of they're a jack of all trades, master of none, essentially, except that like they're just really far, like them compared to like master levels, like the gap is just really wide. Like they can have casual conversations, but once it gets to a little more specialized topics or very specific things, then it becomes difficult for them to kind of keep up. And unless they're learning multiple languages but focusing like the majority of their attention on one and then just kind of playing around with the other ones, and that's kind of different. But yeah, I mean, it's really up to you what you want to do, because I know some people that like doing that stuff. I don't want to go through that feeling of sucking at a language again. It's not fun.
Right.
Like, I think everybody should know that the beginning of learning a language is definitely not. It's not something you want to experience a lot, and because slogging through stuff that you don't understand is just oh my god.
Yeah, I think because there's a lot of people that want to learn a language just for the sake of being able to say that they do it, but I think it's really hard to stick to something like that. If you have a reason to want to learn, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but like people learning Japanese or whatever, like they kind of have that thing there that makes them want to keep going. Like if I was going to try to learn Swahili, I just there's nothing that brings me to that language where I'm like, I'm gonna watch their content or whatever, because like I don't know much about it. Maybe if I would read about it, I would want to learn. Who knows? But like with Japanese, I know what it is, right? I know stuff that I like. I know movies I like. I know books that I want to read. Like Battle Royale was originally a book. I want to read that book. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so like there's that keeps me going versus the idea of just being like, well, I want to speak this just so I can say I speak a language.
Yeah, like it's learning Japanese for me is essentially a means to an end, because I'm using it to do something else that I want to do. Like the Japanese isn't really what's important to me; it's what I get to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
very good. Yeah, I like that. Like
because it's like I'm not learning Japanese for the sake of Japanese. I'm learning Japanese for the sake of like reading the stuff I want to read, playing the games I want to play. Like whenever they come out. And like if they come out in Japan first, like there was one game that came out in 2015 in one of the series I was playing, and I was like okay cool, I'll play it soon when I get to the other ones. And it's like then I find out that it wasn't out in the US. Like people waited like 10 years for the game, and I'm like, 10 years you could have learned Japanese in that time, and been like god level, and then you would have been played in a long time ago. You waited 10 years?
Yeah.
Excuse me? Like, I'm not doing that. Like, 10 years may sound okay now because I'm like, what, 18 turning 19, but when you're older, 10 years isn't gonna sound very fun.
No,
So-
for sure, man. Yeah, I'm 32. In 10 years, I'll be 42. Like,
Yeah, when I think about it that way, I'm like,
I could have played so many games by then.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I've played a ton of games since I started learning Japanese. Like, 6 months in, I was already playing games all the time.
See, and that's I want to play games, but I also know that I do this thing very often, which is what leads me to quit a lot of times. And that is I jump too far ahead of myself. Because I really want to start playing some games in Japanese, and not like super super hard stuff, but like I love Kiniku Ninja Ash. Like, I think he does awesome stuff, and he always talks about his love of Pokemon and like how he plays Pokemon in Japanese, and I'm like, yeah, man, I really want to do that. But then I'm like, my Japanese, unless they're asking like where the bathroom is, I don't think I'm like, I would have to look up every word in that game. So like, I'm afraid I would be jumping in way too early, and that's another part where I think that if I would start learning vocabulary, like, it could probably help.
Yeah, like, because like I said, like, I made like 63 cards like 2 days ago, and I'm going through them like 30 new cards a day. The reviews are only gonna start hitting tomorrow, because I just started, but like, it's just like, man, like, even now there's still a ton of words I mean, given this is stuff that it isn't gonna come up on like in regular Japanese, but that's the kind of stuff I immerse with. And it's funny because some there in the chat, you or Soro was going through the beginning of Muramasa, which Matt played on his channel once before. It's a visual novel that's notorious for being really difficult to read. And she was going through the first chapter, and I was just like watching her go through it. I have the game, but I was just like, okay, like, see how it is. And like, it's just kind of funny because like the DJT guys, like the guys who made like the DJT library and all that, like, they had a spreadsheet on reading difficulty. They ranked that series like in difficulty, like high difficulty, along with the Monogatari series. And it's like, no, Muramasa's way harder. I mean, it's like, it's difficult because there's just words that you don't see anywhere else. Like, even like, it's sort of like, it's like within the obscure stuff, like Muramasa just has stuff that you don't see anywhere else really, and which makes it really kind of annoying to read. Really, I'm just like I saw these weird words that I didn't even know existed.
So maybe almost like a Star Trek, to where there's literally vocabulary that is specifically exclusive to like maybe gadgets and stuff that they use. Like,
it's like the words, like, they're using real Japanese words. They're just Japanese words that you just don't encounter really in other places. Yeah, like she just put one there. Yeah, Rokuhara. Like I ran into that, and I was like, what? I literally never seen that. There was another one that was a really weird one. I wish I remembered it. Wait, let me see. I think I remember how I can look it up. Here we go. This one. Tsukamatsura. Yeah. Tsukamatsura. Wow, I keep forgetting how to. Tsukamatsura. Wait. Tsukamatsura. Like, that word, just like, I was just like, wait, you could do it like that? What? I like never heard that existed. And it's funny because some of these words are like, they have a meaning of a word that's already more common in the Japanese language, but they'll opt to use these like very obscure words.
Gotcha.
And it's just kind of like, why?
Right.
And
Okay, that makes, yeah, that sounds like it would be incredibly difficult.
like, yeah, it's pretty rough. Honestly, without the text hooker, I don't think I'd really want to go through that game. To be completely honest with you, or actually a lot of visual novels for that matter. Like after getting the text hooker, it makes things so much easier because just copying and pasting words I don't know, it's so much easier, and then I can just amass my vocabulary like really quickly because there's just a lot
Yeah.
in there that I run into in the games I play, but not really anywhere else. And so it's just kind of like, whoa. I'm just gonna have to deal with it until I know all this stuff, like the back of my hand, hopefully, and then able to read them without much of an issue. Don't know how long that's gonna take, but it took me like what, like around like 2 years or so to get here. I'm gonna be stuck with this for a while. So.
Right. I want to get into visual novels. I just don't know what like kind of beginner stuff.
Yeah, because like
to do. I feel like I said, I feel like everything is so much further past my vocabulary, and it would at this point just be reading for the sake of just reading the characters and not understanding all the stuff that's happening, or even understanding any of the stuff that's happening.
yeah, most generally visual novels are usually tougher than other stuff in general. Well, it really depends on when you read, because if it's like slice of life, it'll be easier. But then stuff will start off as slice of life, and then they'll divert later midway, and so it really depends on what you play. Because there's some that weren't that hard, and then there's some like the ones that I really enjoy, which just so happen to have really obscure vocabulary, and it seems like there's a trend here with like the really action-packed, really good visual novels having all of the complicated words in them and all of that, and that's wonderful for me. Yay!
Do you think manga is easier than the visual novels?
Oh, manga is like that's so much easier. Whether it has the furigana or not, it's easier.
Really?
It's so much easier. Yeah, no, I'm serious. Like,
Huh.
if it's furigana, I mean, it's
Right.
already easier. And even without it, they don't use as much of these like weird words. Like when I'm reading Tokyo Ghoul, it's not that much of an issue for me. Granted, I haven't read it in a while, but no, I can like read through it like really without a problem. And also because manga, you also get more scenes with all of the and with all the drawings. So it's so even if you don't understand the vocabulary, you can still kind of keep track of the story.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes.
With visual novels, it's not always like that. So, because they're like, for example, the one I'm playing, there's just some times where you just have like some eerie music in the background, and it'll be like discussing like something like the meaning of existence or something, and it'll use all this obscure, uncommonly used vocabulary, and I just gotta kind of sit there like, looking up like words like every sentence because there's something I don't know in there.
Right.
And I'm just like, oh my god, not this again.
I don't know. Like I guess I'm just to a point. I really I don't know. Either that or I'm gonna get through RTK, but I'm gonna go ahead and just start adding some like, just suck it up and do extra like SRS because I have to.
Yeah, what
Get
I would
some vocab.
recommend is whatever you do with the SRS, just make sure you get it done like first thing in the morning. Like the first thing you do every morning, just get the SRS out of the way, because the morning is the easiest time to get out of the way, because anytime after that you're not going to want to do it. Like you're really not.
Yeah.
Before, like I remember like having to do R2K at night because I had so many reviews that I didn't really have a choice, and man, it was painful.
Did you have, how many cards were you doing with that?
Oh man, I think the best days were when I had 130 reviews. Other than that, it was hovering between 150 and 180. 2.5 hours a day.
Nah, that's.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's too much. I don't know. Let me see. I can tell you what I have right now because I haven't done mine today. So I have 116 on RTK.
Actually, let me see. Oh yeah, because you can track how many. How do you check how many cards you have? I'm actually kind of curious now. Um, how do you actually check how many cards you have? I forgot.
I just have just on my phone. I have it to where like it's just it just shows that the like it'll show in green how many reviews I have to do today.
Oh, how many reviews? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then 20 new cards. I do 20 cards a day.
Mm. Okay, yeah, I did 30 because at the rate that I was adding cards at the time, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna need to get through these soon. Um, 'Cause, yeah, I have added a lot in these past few days, and it's like, ooh boy. You said stats, all that. Oh, stats. Oh yeah. Um, Let me see. Oh, okay, so like 131 in like the past what? Mostly from the past 2 days that I added essentially.
You added 131 cards
Basically, in
in
the
a couple of days.
I mean, it was probably like around 110 or so,
Yeah.
or 120 in the past last 2 days, and then today was like, or no, maybe today was like maybe 10, maybe 15 or so. Because I didn't play as much visual novels today, but yeah, it's like, man, there is a lot of vocabulary that I don't know, and it's like, oh boy, like, because I really like visual novels, and so I used to be able to like focus on them like for really long periods of time. Now I'm easily distracted.
Mhm.
I'm kind of working on that. That's why I'm like staying off Twitter for the most part. Um,
Okay.
and Yeah, it's like I was pretty comfortable in the past few months. So, I've been able to enjoy all the stuff that I generally wanted to enjoy, but then it's like, you know, it is just daunting though. Like
Right.
going to the really tough stuff, especially with like, because I didn't have the text hooker at the time, and so going through these games was a real slog. I mean, it's just, man, like, you guys got to take advantage of all the resources you have out there, because they just make things so much easier. And the other thing is like, because I have a lot of paper books, and I'd say from manga I'd prefer paper because it's a lot clearer and
Mhm.
easier on the eyes. On digital, it like burns my eyes. I don't know what it is about how the kanji comes out. It's really uncomfortable to read.
Yeah, I see
Um,
that.
but For light novels and stuff, I just say, yeah, stick to reading on digitally or Kindle if you can. Um, just because it's easier to look up stuff, so you'll like build your vocabulary faster, and it'll be easier to read paper. Because I have like one or two series here that's pretty easy for me to read on paper for the most part, where I don't really have to look up much. Um, but still, it's like it'd just be better if like I just focus on stuff where I can like amass more vocabulary first. It's just that I like, because I have my bookshelf right there, and I
Right.
just look at my big stack of books, and I all that money I spent. um because it doesn't help that my sister reads light novels in English, so we go to the store together, and then she gets like like a couple books, and then I'm just there like, oh man, I'm really not trying to like spend too much money here again when I'm going to Kinokuniya, because I have that in New York City. um to just go and buy manga physically, and light novels, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the light novel selection is pretty small, so I mostly get them on Kindle, but the manga selection is pretty good. Like, there's way more manga than light novels there.
Man, I couldn't imagine being in a situation like the town that I live at. You probably you're in New York City.
Yeah, I live in New York City. Yeah.
You probably have more people that live in your like your like block, or like in an apartment, whatever. You probably have more people in the building that you're in than I do in the entire town that I'm in.
I mean, yeah. In my entire, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, because then you have people living in apartments, but then it's like, it's then again, where I live is like, it's not like the hood, but like it's kind of hood, because somebody will get shot time to time. Like, it's like it happens once in a while, or it might happen more often than I think. It's just that there are only a few cases that really blow up. But yeah, but for the most part, there's no real danger to me. But yeah, there. But you'll have people living in like small apartments, but it'll be like a decent number of people. Because I used to live in an apartment. There was like 3 rooms, and it was like 6 of us. I mean, granted, the rooms are pretty big, but
Right.
I mean,
Yeah. There's like, there's about 5,000 people where I live.
only 5K. Oh man, yeah, yeah. And around my block or something like that. Yeah, this is probably not that much. Yeah, population is really condensed here.
Yeah, and it's like anytime because I've been to New York City once, and like it's just such a culture shock because of like I was like, there's stuff happening here. There's people everywhere. Like it was such a weird experience. Well, being in New York though, you could probably have the opportunity to speak Japanese more. I mean, because
You'd be surprised, man.
really,
There's way more Korean and Chinese people here
I could see that.
than because Chinese people, all you need to do is go to Chinatown. My
Right.
my high school is in Chinatown, and Koreans, I don't know why, but I seem to run into them a lot more than Japanese people. Um, so yeah, it's like, and then if I do meet like a half Japanese kid, they just don't know Japanese, or it's not like particularly something to write home about. It's usually one of those two, which I can respect because my Spanish isn't anything to write home about. So,
Mm.
uh, yeah, I can't really blame them for that. So yeah, it just ends up being like I'm just kind of stuck at home, like it's just with my Japanese there, and yeah, then parents they're fine with that. I mean, they're actually the ones who bought me the Genki textbook in the first place. Because oh, you're learning a language, go ahead. And I'm like, oh my god, like why are you
Whoa,
spending this money on me? Like, chill out. Like,
that's pretty cool
I
though.
don't know if this is gonna work out.
Yeah.
But it did eventually. So
Yeah. I mean, it's good that it did. Rhino says, "What is a good non-hentai visual novel to pick up first?"
okay, let me to get on the visual novel thing first. A lot of most of them are eroge, but like some of them are just heavily focused on the story, and then like all the hentai parts are just kind of like they're just kind of there for the people who will not buy the game if that is not included. That's really what it's there for in some games. Some games don't need it, but it sells, so they just put
Right.
it in anyways, even if they don't really want to. Um, but yeah, like most of the popular stuff, well, I can't say that usually most of the popular stuff aren't eroge because if you look at like the visual novel database, like Fate Stay Night is up there, and that's technically an eroge. But I mean, it varies. Like it's just a little bit of both. But yeah, I would say uh, I like Utawareru Mono. You can find that on Steam. Yeah, Danganronpa Steins Gate. I don't know about Chaos Child. I haven't read that one. But uh, there's also I don't know about Beginner, but there's also Zero Escape, the Nonary games. That's more interactive. So if you like that kind of stuff, that'll be cool. And the plot twists are amazing. Like, I mean, they blow your mind. And same thing with AI, the Somnium Files. It's same director as the Zero Escape series, and when I tell you those plot twists are just like out of this world, I mean they are out of this world. That's probably one of the best games I ever played. Period.
Whoa.
So yeah, you can fish around because there's like a ton of visual novels, and if you look at the visual novel database, like I mean, you just kind of look through like the highest rated ones because those are going to be all the ones that are popular in the West, and you'll probably be able to find them without too much difficulty. And yeah, the Clanad, like there's a lot of mainstream stuff that I just don't really I'm not that interested in terms of visual novels because like I just kind of just play whatever I find interesting, and sometimes like either people know about it or people don't, depends, because like a lot of the Japanese visuals I look into is also stuff that hasn't been translated, so
Right.
uh yeah, R size visual novels, I mean you could check there if you want. I don't use Reddit, I don't touch it, I don't want to get into that. Reddit is, yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Reddit's very fun place sometimes. Not really. So
I mean, maybe for memes, but that's about it.
yeah. What my dryer's done. So I'm gonna start wrapping things up here in just a few. If anybody has any questions, like final questions, let me know. But I do. What is your like? And I know this might be a hard question to ask, but like, do you have kind of an end game with Japanese? Like, what is your ultimate goal, or is it literally just that, just to be able to understand what you're doing? Do you want to move to Japan and work in Japan, or are you just good chilling in America watching Japanese content?
Moving to Japan, well, that'll depend on what I think about the country when I actually get to visit there first. Because the problem with living there is that I would have to pay both U.S. and Japanese taxes, and that sounds terrible.
Right? Yeah.
But other than that, it's like working in Japan, that's not happening. Not with their working culture. Nope. Yeah, no. And yeah, I think for the most part, I just really want to just like be able to understand all the stuff that I immerse with. But the thing is, I like a lot of the stuff I like is stuff that is like high level in terms of vocabulary and stuff like that. And so, I'm just kind of stuck having to reach like a really good level of understanding in Japanese if I want to enjoy all the media that I want to enjoy, because I like novels and stuff, and they have a lot of uncommon vocab and stuff like that. And so it's just like, well, it's just kind of what I gotta deal with if I want to have like easy access to the stuff that I enjoy. And I'm just like, I might as well just kind of do it now because I have a decent amount of time. I mean, I'm taking a summer class, but I'm still on summer vacation for the most part, and I have the time to immerse a decent amount, even if it's not as consistent as it used to be. I'll still be doing my reps every day, and I'll still be doing something in Japanese every day, at least more so than I've been doing in the past couple months. And just actually try to continue to make progress every day, because after kind of stagnating for a while, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm not digging this finding words that I don't know all the time when I should know them,
right,
and stuff like that.
Because
there's a lot of words I should know.
I was gonna say, do you ever run across like a common word, like this is just a stupid example, but like, do you ever run across like the word like shirt, and you're like, how the crap did I not know shirt already? Yeah,
that's exactly what happens. To be honest with you, that's exactly what happens.
Man.
Like I forgot this word right here. Like I knew what it meant, but I forgot the reading. It's literally just to like defeat or like, yeah, like it's like if you know both of the words, it's just like this meaning is easy. It's just to basically defeat. Yeah, I typo. Thank you for the correction. Like I'm like, why did I forget the reading? I mean, because I knew what it meant, but that's what happened to me a lot. Is like I knew the character. Forget the reading, and when I'm reading, not a big deal, but then when you go to speak, that's where the problem is.
Right.
And so I'm working on that, because that's one of my major problems. So like a lot of these words that I've been kind of glossing over, I'm starting to like sit down and just put them into my Anki deck, and so that I have to deal with them.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. All right, let's see here. Liquid Metal Japanese says, how do I get hair like yours?
Oh, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like I'm Dominican, so we got some Spanish people genes, we got some African people genes, we got like some native like Taino and stuff. Like I don't know, man. It's genetics, or maybe there's some kind of treatment that you could do for it. I wouldn't really recommend it, because dealing with this hair is a pain in the ass. But I mean, you do you, man. You just I was
always mad growing up because I really love I loved like the NBA Street series, and like seeing all these dudes with afros, and I could never understand that. I can't have like I wanted an afro so bad as a kid, man. Like even up until like when I was a teenager, but it just obviously my hair can't do that, so that's hilarious. Make videos in Japan. Make videos in Japan in Japanese, man.
Yeah. You want to give me the money to go to Japan in the first place? Because I don't have that.
Yeah.
Did you put on a blue shirt
shirt.
just for the video? Or are you copying cast? It's actually green. The camera just sucks and it's dark. So yeah. I did switch shirts though, because the other one I was wearing, it made me look like I was really poor. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me look somewhat presentable.
Nah, dude. This channel is not the channel for presentable. Do you see the bottom of my t-shirt?
No, I don't. I only see up to like your chin.
Look, it's
Oh
like,
my god.
it's like, I gotta buy some new t-shirts, man. I don't have like I'm not like a professional dude. I just hang out, I chat with people. Well, you get what you get, man, with me. I'm not like a suit and tie kind of dude.
So is that a waifu? No, it's a regular freaking pillow. God. I don't have no waifu pillows. I live with my parents. Fuck. Like, is that a sword? Oh, hold up. Actually, yes. It's something I got as a gift from my cousin for my birthday last year. Yes, I do have a katana. Yes, I do. See, my cousin gave this to me because he does like a lot of different martial arts stuff, and he loves his anime and stuff, and he has a bunch of weapons. So he gave my brother twin swords, and he gave my sister a staff, and he gave me a sword.
That's pretty awesome.
And so this one's a ninja sword. It's not a samurai sword, but it's still badass. And yes, it is real. Like, this thing can cut. It's just kind of blunt. But yeah, like it's just there next to my bed. I forget that it's there, to be honest with you. But like,
you never know when you're gonna need it, man.
There's actually one time where people did try to break into our house before. So yeah, I mean, when you live in sort of the hood and your house is one of the houses that actually looks okay. Yeah, that happened. That only happened one time though. And then my dad put a camera, so I doubt that's gonna happen again. But yeah, I think decent number of us sleep, and we have I think we almost all have weapons near us in our rooms. Everyone in my family.
Somebody would break in and be like, "What the? This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man. We got bow staffs and."
It's like
swords.
After that one break-in attempt, like my dad, he just has like his a machete close to his bed, and my brother had like a bat, and then I'll have a sword here. My sister has a staff.
That's amazing.
It's not even intentional; it just ended up that way. And my brother also has the twin swords, so.
That's fantastic. So. Well, dude, I appreciate you chatting with me, man. And I enjoy your perspective, because from where I'm going through a lot of that beginner stuff and just hearing kind of your perspective on it, it helps me as well. And so,
yeah, it sucked for everyone. It wasn't fun.
The first couple, like I'm having a decent time, but yeah, I want to start adding up vocabulary and stuff like that. And like I said, just hearing other people's perspectives, and especially people who have done it for a long time, kind of hearing, maybe they would have made this change or that change. I think it can help a lot of people out. So, anybody listening who's just starting MIA or Ajatt can get something out of it. So,
yeah, because you also have to consider that you don't want to just listen to one person.
For sure. Yeah.
Because then you miss out. Like, I didn't know about anime cards for forever, and then I found out about it now, and I'm like, oh wow, I wish I would have known this a year or two ago. And so, yeah, and you also have to realize that, you can't just like with them. I mean, I guess you could talk with people, but there isn't really much because I know people often look for advice, and it's like, the only advice I can really give people is just sit down and just listen and read stuff. That's really all, because that's really all that's all your job is.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is that you really have to do. And about the motivation to getting yourself to do it, I mean, you got to figure that out. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No, I can agree with that. Let's see. All right. One last question here. Quizmaster thoughts or opinions?
Wait, what's Quizmaster? I don't know.
I'm not
I
sure.
legitimately don't know. Oh, the quiz. Oh, the Quizmaster Anki. I've only ever seen the Quiz Master Anki guide. That's where I saw the anime cards, and that's where I got that from. I didn't know about them before. I don't particularly really care. It's just that it's just a good method of doing Anki cards. So, uh, that's why I did that. But it's not like I do everything that they do in here, because there's a lot of stuff that just kind of seems like too much work, and I don't feel like doing it. But I mean, yeah, it's all right. I mean, he made a good Anki guide. I don't know anything else about him. But yeah, it's just like make sure you do your own research, and yeah, don't go to Central Park. Some kid might call the cops. No one's look. See, my family is a good family. We're not going outside. Period. Like, this is New York. I don't even want to take the freaking train. Like, please, I don't even want to touch the train, to be honest with you. Like, I'm because New Yorkers don't give a damn. So, yeah, I really don't want to be outside all that much.
Yeah, man. That's New York seems to be in a pretty weird spot right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, dude, I appreciate. Is there anything that you want to say in closing, or any final things that you want to get to, or?
All I can really say is what, like, if you're gonna, like, or really whatever language you're learning, you need to have like a good like a reason that you think is good enough to really like take the time every day to keep learning it, because you need something to drive you. Like, if you're just learning it to learn it, or you don't really have a particular reason to learn it, you're not going to last long, because if you don't have a reason to push through something difficult, you're just not going to do it. It's really easy to quit. So yeah, I would say find, that this is something that you really want to do in that language, for example. That's enough of a reason for you to go and like spend like like a few years of your life learning it.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree with that completely. So, well, dude, I appreciate it. I do have, I think a lot of people here probably hear from you anyway, but in case you're not, I have a YouTube channel and Twitter down below. Go check that out. And, yeah, man, thanks everybody for watching. And hopefully I will see you all in the next stream. So peace out yet again. Gotta get better at this. There we go. All right, now I'm back on the tab I need to be. So yeah, cool. Thanks everybody, and I will see you all in that next stream.
Peace out, guys. Peace.